coming back to you with another one. Uh, y'all already got me on here, so I'm gonna just redo it. For YouTube, this one is about the white roster. I titled this one this because this is a cat that I encountered in David Wade as well. Uh, I encountered this dude in 2019, and I gave him the nickname the White Roster. And the reason I gave him the nickname the White Roster is because that's exactly what he was. So just a little backstory on it. Um, a law was implemented for the penal institution for the institution to respect our inmates' religious beliefs and whatever they believed in and whatever is supported. So the Rastafarians was a group that had to be respected because of it was a spiritual group, and as well one of their beliefs was that they didn't cut their hair. So when a lot of people got on to what actually was going on with the Rastafarians, a lot of people, granted, a lot of people did start playing games and switching their religious beliefs to be Rastafarians, et cetera, to be exempt from getting their haircut, because any other offender per DOC policy has to be clean cut and shaved, under DOC rules and regulations. But the Rastafarians is one group that's exempt from that. So once one of the inmates won the new law that governed that bill and that act that stopped the offenders from having to cut their hair, it was just a mass flooding of people changing their religious beliefs on their master prison report, et cetera, just to be exempt from getting their haircut as well. And in the security, is really no way for them to say, hey, this is what you believe or this is not what you believe. If this is what you claim that you believe, then they have to be protected and respected. So a lot of the security was very, very, very angry with the offenders for winning the lawsuit that exempted them from being able to have long hair, because they just felt like that, it was a buck against the system, and they felt like it was an act of rebellion. So even though a law was governed and passed on it, they still went through extreme measures, like to try to get offenders to cut their hair, to try to break them from their religious beliefs, to say that they wasn't actually a Rastafarian so they can cut their hair. It became a joke and a competition amongst the guards of how many offenders that they could get to cut their hair by any means necessary. The means or the methods that was used was never, any guidelines on it. It was, however they could get it done, they was to get it done. And so that was just a big thing that they had going on against the Rastafarians. So at this one particular time, I happened to be in the cell block, and they had a Caucasian guy that came through. And when he came through with about 4 or 5 guards, and they was all white. And this scene, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that there isn't any Caucasian offenders in the institution, because there are several. But at this institution, a white offenders that is getting locked up and coming to disciplinary is kind of slim. They had the cell blocks packed with, African Americans, Mexicans, So it was kind of rare. So I just happened to look up at the situation that was going on, and I happened to see them bringing the offender down the tier, and they was, loud and boisterous. They was surrounding him, escorting him down the tier to his cell. And I could just hear what was going on, and you could just clearly tell from the verbiage that this was a Caucasian guy that they was having an altercation with, which was another thing that was rare, because even with altercation, even when Caucasian offenders get locked up, it's never really too much of a ruckus. It's always pretty cool, calm, collective, just pretty much get it done and get it out the way. But, this dude, he was going off, and he was just going back and forth with the guards. No, I'm not doing it. So the guards, was just telling him, I promise you, we run across 1,000 motherfuckers like you on a regular. You gonna cut that shit. You gonna cut that shit. So the white guy was just going back and forth instead of telling him, well, I'm a Rasta. I'm a Rastafari. And this is my right to have my hair. So when he said it, the lieutenants, the guards, everybody bust out laughing, and they laughed in his face. They laughed about his religion. They laughed about his beliefs, about his belief, about him keeping his hair, and et cetera, et cetera. And they made a point to let him know that they would make him cut his hair by any means necessary. So they took him in the back and they shook him down, and they was just being highly aggressive with him, like. And I was just like, wow, like, all because this dude don't want to cut his hair. Even though I done seen the tactics before, this was my first time seeing the white officers, applying the tactics to one of their own kind. So they get him in the shower and they talking to him in a real aggressive manner. So they playing a good cop, bad cop. One officer telling them, well, we can go and get you back in your dorm right now. We don't have to actually go through this. We can go and get your hair cut. We can send you back on the compound to general population. So the dude, the white Rasta, like I say, the name I gave him, he was just being cool, calm, and collective. Like he would altercate and go back and forth with him only at certain points. But other than that, he was just, lightly firm on what he was saying. I'm not cutting my hair. And I'm not cutting my hair. And they was just doing everything that they could do to invoke a different response out of him, but they could not get a response from him other than the one that they was giving him. So, excuse me. So they stripped him and took all of his clothes off and did a full body cavity search on him. And, they just was doing everything in their power to fully humiliate him. They made him strip. They made him turn around, lift the bottom of each foot, stand on one leg. They made him bend at the waist and spread his cheeks. They flashed a flashlight inside the crevices of, his body. They made, rude and crude comments about him, just everything that they could do to just try to break him in. And this dude, he just stood firm. And he's just like, well, y'all can do whatever y'all want to do. I'm not cutting my hair. So, it just led to, like them just turning into complete, just the stuff that they were saying, you just couldn't believe, like, man, you a cracker, man. You trying to be down with them. They don't give a fuck about you. How the fuck can you be a roster? You a fucking cracker. You're a redneck just like us, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Shit gonna get you killed. They threatening his life, just all type of stuff. And the dude, like, he just keeping his calm and he just keeping his pause and he let him know, but I ain't do nothing wrong. This is my right. I have the right to believe in what I want to believe in and, participate in what I want to participate in, and the law governs me. And every time he said that, the guards just got more and more infused with him. So after about 45 minutes of standing in the shower naked and going back and forth speaking with him, they finally was like, well, okay, tell you what, you say you're going to kill yourself? And so he like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. So the guard yelled to another guard, oh, we got one down here say he's going to kill himself. So now it's going to a completely different level. When you have this threat of suicide, now the officers don't have to have anything in writing. They don't have to have anything on video. Their word in saying that you said this is enough. So the way that they use the mental health evaluation against inmates is by saying he said that he's going to kill himself. So all precautions have to be taken. So all of his property is stripped. All of his clothes are stripped. You can't have anything in the cell except a paper gown as a suicide precaution until you deem fit by the personnel that has to make that decision. So now it's going from a haircut and him getting placed on lockdown to him being placed on suicide watch in a cell with no clothes, no nothing, no property, no socks, underwear, nothing, in roughly 20 to 30-degree weather outside. And most people are saying, well, what difference does that make if it's that cold outside? These are the tactics that they use. In front of each cell, they have a bay of windows. And what they do is they open this bay of windows. So if it's 20 degrees outside, inside of this concrete is most definitely under 20 degrees. They turn the blower system on, the ventilation system, to just make it more unbearable. So I could just see the tactic just unfolding clear as day. So long story short, they get him hooked up on the suicide watch. So now they getting him out of the search pen, which is the shower, to put him in the cell. So as they walking, you got cameras pointing in every direction as they making they move down the tier, and they fully surrounding this dude as he going down the tier. So one of the guards yelled to him, "Hey, watch your step." And as he tell him to watch his step, he basically doing this for the camera's benefit, because it was nothing really for him to watch his step over. This was a tactic for the guards to use as if he was falling, for all of them to fall and slam him on the ground and rough him up. So now the cameras don't have audio, they have video. So now the conversation is going back to he gonna cut his hair, this and that and this and that. And this dude, man, when I say he got balls like a horse, man, he just still adamant. I'm not cutting my hair. So they get him up, they get him in the cell, they throw him in there, it's freezing cold. So like different people just talking to him, and he like, man, I'm not cutting my hair, bro. I didn't say anything to anybody. I didn't do anything wrong. Like, I'm just not cutting my hair. I'm representing the roster, and like he getting a lot of respect from the black inmates, because even though people know he's not actually a roster, he's taking a stand against the system with cutting his hair, and he's really owning his stand. And the officers as well, they knew what he was doing too. So they was extra punishing him. So as they put him in the cell in the freezing cold, they coming down and they just antagonizing him, saying some of the most degrading things that they can say to him to just try to break him mentally. And he just refused to cut his hair. So I'm just saying to myself, and I'm telling my cell partner next door, I'm like, man, he gonna break. I know he gonna break. Like this, they really serious. They trying to really prove a point to all of the white dudes that they not playing with them about this, this Rastafarian thing that's going on about their hair. They using him as an example. So as the night went on, they cranked the air up on him. So we tried to give him sheets and blankets, but every time we tried to give him something, they came down and they noticed what was going on. So when I say this dude was freezing, man, I know that they was freezing him. He get in a spot and he'll find his way to sleep. And just like on the movies, like you might see on the movies, they turn the lights on. They going back behind the cell in the ventilation system. They slapping on the ventilation system, making a loud noise inside of the cell, and like a tunnel noise to wake him up every time he go to sleep. They just implementing all kind of tactics on him. And by me not being too far from him, when they wake him up, it wake me up. So I'm hearing this going on all night. So the next morning, you can hear him screaming and hollering, guard, come get me out of here. So he going off, he kicking and screaming, guards, come get me out of here. I didn't do anything wrong. So they come down. So you ready to talk? You're like, yeah, I'm ready to talk. I'm ready to go, man. I didn't do anything wrong to be back here. So they're like, well, so you gonna get your haircut then, huh? He's like, well, no, I'm not getting my haircut, but y'all gotta let me out of here. I'm not getting my haircut, but y'all gotta let me get out of here. So the people say, well, you're not getting your haircut? He said, I'm definitely not getting my haircut, but y'all please get me out of here. I'm freezing my nuts off. Please get me out of here. Well, whenever you get ready to cut your hair, you just call us and we'll let we'll get with you then. So he, no, I'm not cutting my hair, but I didn't do anything to be back here. So the guards walked off on him, so he screamed and hollered himself tired. You can hear his voice going hoarse. He screamed for the guards. Guards wouldn't come back for him. So chow time came around. They passing the food out, and I can hear him when he got his tray and he opened his tray. I can hear him clear as day ask the guard, "Hey man, what the fuck is this?" And the guard said, "Hey man, that's your tray." Like, man, I'm not eating this fucking shit. And the guard told him, "Well, you don't have to eat it. If you cut your hair, you can get a regular tray like everybody else." And every single thing that went on with this guy throughout his whole tenure right there revolved around his haircut. And when I say every meal that he got, they was taking a bottle of water or water from whatever they was getting it at and just dumping it in the whole entire tray. Not mixing it in, not stirring it, not nothing, just dumping water on his trays to a point where he's sliding the trays out so the camera can see. So everybody's seeing the tactics that the guards using on him. They freezing him, they starving him, they doing all of this stuff to him. So because of his right. So I say maybe the third day went past, and this dude, he was to a point, he was at his breaking point, and I just knew, like, I counted him out the day before or the day before that. Like, but this day he was just at his breaking point. He could barely talk. He was like, "Man, if y'all can, bro, just somebody call my mom. I'll give you the number. Just call my mom. I just need somebody to know what's going on with me. You know, I really feel like that I'm dying in the cell." And like, as he's saying this, I could just hear his voice. I can hear everything cracking up inside of this dude, you know, from the cold, from the mental anguish, from the abuse, from the food, from all of this. And as the guards like just going back and forth past, they laughing, joking, and the only thing that could just cross my mind is that, man, this somebody's life. This dude is in here miserable, like feeling like he ain't gonna live, like he can't go no further, and it's a joke to these people, you know. So the nurse ended up coming to see him. They had to do a wellness check on him, and he was so cold that his lips was blue, his nose had turned blue. So the nurse was just to a point where he wouldn't go forward with it anymore. So he told the guards that they had to get him out of there. So the guard told him the only way he coming out of here is if he get his hair cut. So they asked him, like, say, "Hey man, this it. We can't go no further. Like, you gonna get your hair cut and we're gonna let you out of here." And he looked at him, and you could just hear like the last strength that he had in his body say, "I ain't cutting my hair." And it was just the strength that was inside this little white dude, man. I'm a big black dude. This a little white dude. We don't have nothing in common. He a well-spoken dude. I don't know what he in jail for. I don't know him from nowhere. But everything that he was going through, I could relate, like feeling beat, feeling starved, feeling frozen, feeling just for standing up for what he believed in. And the nurse got on the officer and let them know that they couldn't do it no more. So they had to take him out and rushed him to the hospital. And the last I heard from him, that he was diagnosed with pneumonia, and we just never heard nothing else from him no more. And this dude, he just years and years later, he just still stuck in my head, the white roster, because like I watched this dude take a stand for something that he believed in his heart that was right, you know, and I just watched the system do everything that they can do to try to strip him from his beliefs. And those are just some of the struggles and the battles, the mental anguish that you have to face every day in prison. And even though it wasn't me, you know, that was going through the situation, I was right there with him, and I could relate and understand to his pain from my different dealings and different things that I went through with the officers. And with going through that battle. And it's just so much, man. Like a lot of people think that just prison is just one dimensional, but it's so much. It's the other inmates, it's the officers, it's yourself. It's just a lot of bunch of different dimensionals that you have to get through. And that was just a story that just stuck in my mind, the White Roster. And I'm gonna eventually bring a skit alive about it, about some of these stories, and just start doing chronicles on them on my YouTube page. But that's just another story I wanted to share. And hopefully that some of these stories of what go on in prison can deter some people from going behind those walls and putting themselves in some of the situations that I done had to go through, and had to endure and watch other people go through and endure. And so that's the reason behind these stories, and just, being able to vent and talk about some of the things that I went through and I had to see and endure in my time in prison while I was serving my 12 years before my case was overturned under a wrongful conviction. So I hope that y'all subscribe. I hope that y'all tune in, like, and just share, man, and just check me out. And I'm gonna try to keep fresh videos about different things and different topics on the channel. And we just going forward with it. If you ain't got your copy of No Fair Chance yet, we can get it out to you. Got my camera woman right here, also the DJ. So we're going in with it, man. And y'all check us out, man. Like I say, we're streaming on all platforms. Like we're on TikTok, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. We're just all over the place, man. We're just trying to get as many people to recognize what we're doing. We finna get ready to get in the field with it. We're gonna be doing interviews. We're gonna be, doing some vlogging. We're gonna be talking to a couple of celebrity guests that we got coming up to interview. Um, Hey man, and we just pushing, man. We're pushing the envelope, man. No Fair Chance. This was the beginning of the movement under MWM, Material with a Message. So like it's just so much different stuff coming under that umbrella. So we got this going on. Y'all keep a tune. We got a special line of candy, fruit candies that we got coming too, man, that y'all can check out. Yeah, and so hey, man, just check us out, man, and we're gonna be pushing the envelope. No Fair Chance, the movement.